We've all just come out of an extraordinary summer of Olympic and Paralympic sport. We're all, I guess, feeling that we're returning to normal. The Queen is no longer wearing a parachute vest. I don't wake up in a muck sweat every morning trying to figure out, along with my teams, how to deliver games. And I guess when we say we're returning to normal, I like to think that in large part we're returning to a new normal. A new normal where sport is seen in a very different way, that the Paralympic Games were able to seriously challenge public conceptions about disability, even possibly, as Sir Philip Craven, the President of the International Paralympic Committee, talked the other day, even about maybe the necessity to redefine how we use the word disability. But I guess that for all of us here, there is a framework that we are only too familiar with. As the film just a few moments ago pointed out, we are probably the first generation of adults that are going to, in a way, live probably 5-6 years longer than our children. We are certainly, arguably, from any set of indices that are, that are being worked upon in any of our big physiological or sports science-based universities, likely to be the first generation at this moment that, on balance, are probably fitter than our children. The average 15-year-old now is 50% less fit than they were at the age of 9. In 2 generations, we've lost about 20% physical activity in our everyday. So I don't think it probably takes anybody with any great crisp or erudite assessment to say that this is clearly something that is unsustainable. This is why, and I've used this analogy on so many occasions during the last 7 years, that no organising committee alone could ever get the complexity of an Olympic project across the line. And there are many of you in this room on all sides of the political divide and in organisations that help with the delivery that know only too well that you were a key part of that delivery mechanism. The reality going forward is that to challenge this level of inactivity, we are going to need a united front, and I'm absolutely delighted that in this room today is that united front. I was in the United States not long ago at a very similar function, where we got this project up and running. And in that room were all the constituent groups that are needed to make sure that we drive this legacy forward. I'm delighted today to be joined by the Premier League, by the Lawn Tennis Association, to show that we go beyond sport for sustenance, to make sure that we recognise that there are individual contributions being made. Nick Bittell and Margaret Talbot, the doyenne of physical education in this country. And I would say that in any audience, Margaret, because you have had a seismic impact on the way that we view the world in physical activity. Design to Move is a foundation. It's not a single company or organisation that is understanding what this pathology is. We are not going to be able to tackle that pathology unless we have a united front. And I'm delighted that those organisations, including campaigning organisations like the British Heart Foundation, I'm probably missing a whole group of you, but thank you for being here, because you fundamentally understood that this can't be just an individual home run. The work that has come together throughout Design to Move is really compelling, and it's frankly quite sobering. But above all, there is a very, very optimistic message here, and that is that, without sounding too trite or romantic about it, we can get more young people into activity-based sport or physical exercise. There are 2 serious asks, and they're very, very obvious. They're almost self-selecting, that has come out of Design to Move. That is that first experiences of physical activity for children have to be positive experiences. I don't think anybody would clearly question that now. And that's why I'm so pleased that just the recent announcement about focusing funding on primary schools, where the physical literacies between the ages of 9 and 12 have to be embedded. It's very difficult to pull that territory back if we start to address that problem at the age of 15 or 16. The landscape is too cluttered, the world moves on, and young people are, it's probably the closest definition you'll ever get of consumer sovereignty. They know exactly what they want, they know where to get it, and unless your experiences and your products are authentic and exciting, you lose, they move on. The second clear piece of research that came out of this is that we really do need to do something about our thinking around the built environment. How many of us have searched for 5 or 10 minutes in a hotel lobby just to find a flight of stairs? When you know instinctively you'd rather walk up those stairs than just take the escalator. These are fairly simple issues, and it's about the design of the built environment. It's about designing physical activity into the built environment. It's about the way we create our cities. One of the nicer elements of the Paralympic Games for me was the work of one of our Games Maker volunteers, a wheelchair fencer, final year English degree at London University. And she's gone off to create a rough guide for Rio for disability and disabled access. She's now also working in Scarborough on trying to help the town figure out what it needs to do to improve the built environment for physical activity, not just simply people in wheelchairs, but also for people who are just wanting to stress themselves a little bit more in the normal course of the day. So this work, I think, is really a way of saying that the status quo is no longer an option. I'm not going to traipse through all the statistics, but they are sobering. The trajectory, if you scroll forward 20 years, gets worse and worse. So I'm delighted to be here. I'm delighted that so many of you are here. We have some champions for Design to Move today, and I'm going to invite them in turn to come and talk about how they intend to turn their experiences from the laboratory into the world where these challenges can be confronted and we really can make a difference. And the first is the Vice President of Nike. He's also the General Manager for Europe, and his name is Bert Hoy.
Thank you. Thank you, Lord Coe, and thank you, Kate Hoey. Lords, my ladies, and gentlemen, yes, we are here today, and we are a Nike delegation wearing suits, which is very new to all of us. And probably the thing is that most is new is when we try to wear suits, many times we wear sneakers, but we thought we couldn't get away with that today. So, we're here to talk about something very dear to our hearts. So Nike has been a company that has been around for 40 years. We don't like to think of ourselves as being 40 years old. We like to think of ourselves as being 40 years young. We've made our business and our mission around inspiring and innovating products to make athletes better. We have one in this room today, none other than a world champion, Paul Radcliffe. But today we're not talking about making world-class athletes or creating Olympic gold medal winners. We're talking about the 7 to 12-year-old individuals, the next generation, our future. These individuals today in the UK, males, boys, are only 71% are inactive. 81% of young girls between 7 and 12 are inactive, doing no sports. They spend their day going to school, not participating in any recreational sports or PE as we used to know. They spend the rest of their day on the computer, on their iPhones, in front of their iPads, or playing video games. This is a serious problem. Any of us that have participated in sport at any level know the rewards that sport can bring. It can bring self-esteem. It can bring physical fitness. It can bring victory, and it can bring defeat. And it can teach us how to become better individuals as we grow and evolve in today's society. By having this issue today, we have a serious problem going forward. This is not about Nike. This is about us. This is about us giving these individuals the opportunity to create a new future for themselves. It is a serious issue when, for the first time in the history, many of these children will die before some of us in this room. That has never happened in any generation. So it is something that not only Nike, but all of us need to rally around and try to solve together. It will not be easy. It will be difficult. But we have solved many difficult things in our 41 years at Nike, and I'm sure you've solved many difficult issues and challenges in your time here. Our ask for you is quite simple. Create awareness for this challenge, this issue, and greater for this opportunity to help 7 to 12-year-olds in the UK. And secondly, take all of the funding and all of the programs that are generated today, which there are many, to create a movement around not many sporadic programs and investments, but one investment and one program around Design to Move. And together, Nike will help you and help us to create and solve this problem. If we unite, we can tackle this and we can win. And we can make the next generation have better and healthier lives. And we can make this issue go away in the UK, and we can move on and solve this issue around the world.
Video at the beginning, that's what hits the hardest. We want to do everything that we can. We want our children to have more than we have, to have the best in everything. And it's a very small step that needs to be taken by everybody working cohesively to make sure that we do everything that we can. So as a professional athlete, I recognise I have a unique role to play in raising awareness, increasing physical activity for our country, for the world, but for my children and for our children. I always loved running, and it was always just part of daily activity, daily fun for me growing up. It just happened that I was fortunate enough to be able to make my career out of being a professional athlete. But we're not today talking about pushing young children towards elite sport. We're talking about giving them all that broad experience of physical activity, making it fun, making sure that the first experience is positive. They enjoy doing it and they want to do more. Because, let's face it, that's what children do naturally. If I look at my 2.5-year-old, he sees a puddle, it's jumping, splashing, kicking. He sees an open space in an airport, he just wants to run it as fast as he can, bye-bye mummy and daddy. And it's about making sure that when their brains are hardwiring their neurons for what they're going to do for the rest of their life, that we give them this access to physical activity, make it and build it in so they don't even think about it. It becomes part of daily life. Today, far too many children are physically inactive. Their first experiences with sport, with PE, and just with physical activity are not fun. And it's been seen as a chore. It needs to be fun and positive, and that's the main thing. But I'm passionate about sharing the many, many benefits of sport that sport's given me, but that sport can give so many people. Talking about decreased risk of cancer, heart attack, stroke, increased general health, increased bone health, decreased anxiety and stress. The big one, increased academic achievement, and it's actually been proven now in areas like mathematics and science that kids will do better at school if they have this physical activity built in. Improved leadership skills, creativity and teamwork, and I believe higher morals and better accountability. I want this for all children, and I believe that they deserve it from us. I read this report cover to cover. It lays out the facts in a very simple and compelling manner. It shows that the problem is far more urgent and serious than certainly I believed. There are two basic asks. Ask number one, that we give them these early positive experiences. And as an athlete, I want to use my voice and platform to introduce as many children as possible to physical activity as part of their daily life. Ask number two, that we all serve as role models, that we all look for those small ways that we can build physical activity into our daily life for ourselves, for our family and for those around us. Young children depend on the gatekeepers. That's us as parents, the teachers, the coaches, older siblings, people around, to make sure that that first step is secure and it's fun. And I think that we need to get working together on directly involving as many children as possible in a fun level of sport. So I pledge to promote these huge asks, but simple asks, by using social and digital networks, media and ongoing media